Welcome to the Prison Pod, a podcast for all people experiencing incarceration. The mission of this podcast is to save lives, restore hope, reduce suffering, and recidivism. Many show ideas come directly from the listeners, so please write the host. Prison Pod, Post Office Box 294, Orono, Maine, 04473. Here is your host, Ms. Valerie.
Well, hello. Thank you again for joining me on the Prison Pod. We have our guest today, Rodney, Wrice, and Maria Morales. And I'm hoping I said that right.
Rodney Wrice.
It's Wrice. Okay.
Yes.
I looked it up. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
So it's Rodney Wrice and Maria Morales. And I love the little blip on your site, so I'm going to use it. You are an engaged power couple, passionate about changing the narrative of how reentry, homelessness, and foster care reform are viewed. Such an important work. Amazing, the two of
Thank
you. You also have Changing Lives Forever, LLC, and the online Substack publication, Voices Often Ignored. So I'm going to let you start right where you want.
So thank you very much for having us. And again, so we want to begin first by saying that our passion is being able to provide a better narrative in more subjective form for positive humanity. So we start there with Changing Lives Forever. Changing Lives Forever is an LLC company that provides emergency assistance and relief for those to whom are homeless and to whom are entering back into society after incarceration. But incarceration reentry begins from the moment that they step into the prison system all the way until they're out and moving forward, and we try to navigate that process. We advocate for the home, for the foster care youth, and also at-risk youth, and moving them in a correct and conducive manner to have their lives in a better form. So that's life readiness and, mentoring and coaching, and those things of those nature. Maria is more versed in dealing with the foster care part of our organization, our company, and I'm more into the incarcerated reentry, life readiness part of it. So with that said, our journey and passion, I'll allow Maria to talk more about.
Well, thank you so much, Valerie. Excuse me, for having us on your show. Yeah, so we're excited. We're excited about where we're going. Changing Lives Forever is, really getting out there, not only servicing the homeless people, human beings that are out in the streets, living on the streets, but actually telling them that we love them. We love you. We care about you. We go there at all hours of the night. Yes, absolutely. And so it is something that we do differently. And, going out at night, many of them are surprised to see us. They look at us like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? But then they say, thank you. And always ending it with letting them know that we love them. Once we go out there, what we have done is also received with our own clothing, with clothing that has been donated and washed and cleaned. We go out there and we provide them with the option to select what it is that they want. If we need more donations, but what we have given. Also, we gather community resources for them. So letting them know verbally, this is where you can go take a shower. This is where you can get some food. And then with that said, along with the foster care reform, I was a foster youth myself. I grew up in the system. And the book that I'm currently writing, which will be coming out soon, is called The Locked House. So I talk about my story, but I talk about what had happened to me. But also, I want to be able to let people know the goods and the bads and what can be done differently. And one of the petitions that I have out right now is changing the name from foster child to scholar. And so I'm really excited about that because when I came up with that name, I wanted something that that they can be proud of too, that the youth, the child can be proud of. Because as a foster child, you are labeled. And when you're labeled, it makes you feel different. And you already are different. But nonetheless, that's the petition that we have out right now. And again, about the reentry, I'm super excited. Yes, that is Rodney's baby, but I was a program director for a nonprofit here in the Bay Area, and I had started I got the permission to start a reentry program, and so I case managed, empowered, and provided job opportunities for juveniles in the detention center, as well as recently released from the parole board. So, I'm really excited also about the book that is going to be coming out, but I want Rodney to talk a little bit more about his books and he may not mention it, but I'm super excited that he recently got his book Pathways into the San Francisco Public Library.
Right. So
you guys are both writers.
Yes.
When do you ever have any time to spend together?
I think that's one of the biggest discussions of topic in our household is being able to find the time to have that moment together. We're both so incredibly busy trying to be able to give other people better lives. And sometimes we have to be reminded that we also have to have time for ourselves. And so because we're so committed and driven by wanting to see other people have better lives, that we often sometimes just forget about ourselves and being able to, hold hands or walk down the street or, visit a zoo or park or something. And so that becomes difficult and it can become a strain. But at the end of the day, we want what's best for our residents and community members in all of our humanity. And so that's where we're at. As she said, Maria is currently working on her book, The Lock House, which deals with foster care. As many people know and have heard of me, I have become an influential speaker and engager in the reentry areas. I have 2 books out, Overcoming Gangs and Poverty, in the Pathways to Renewal, A Guide Towards Thriving After Incarceration. Both books kind of, for the most part, deal with the origin of how we come into the criminal thinking, how we face property as a society, and where we're going in the future. And I strongly believe, and many people have agreed, that I am Maria, and changing lives collectively, those people who have supported and engaged with us in moving this vision forward, have the formula. Because we're here based in San Francisco, where there's more than 8,000 homeless residents, attention is very much needed in that area. And what separates us from many different other groups, organizations, or companies is that we consider ourselves as first responders. And that's because we are meeting you right where you're at. In the dead of night, when most outlets are for the most part closed. And if they're not closed, then they no longer have available bed space because it's after 5 o'clock. And so we're out here at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when people have settled down. They found their little place in the world where they're going to sleep at night, and we know that it's going to be cold and they're going to be hungry, and they don't have a place to go or a person to talk to or someone to help them along the way. And so that's changing lives. We're right there saying, like Maria said, that we love you and that whatever help that we can provide and give to you, we're willing to do so. We're not clinicians, so we're not here to assess individuals' mental health or how they got in that position. We're the observer who's going to provide the services through collaborations with other organizations and companies and being able to get you where you need to be at that time, whether that's calling 311, 911, talking to a different organization who may have a bed space for you, who may be able to provide you with some food or a shower or whatever is going to get you to the next day. That's our main objective, is to get that person to the next day so that we can hopefully empower them in wanting to do better and know of better ways from which they can achieve that goal. So as my story goes, is that, I served 33 years in prison off of 40 to life prison sentence, and due to the governor, Gavin Newsom, passing the Second Chance Act, I was fortunate release. And so big shout out to Gavin Newsom for, believing and allowing people to understand that just because someone makes a mistake does not mean that they're doomed forever and that they will always be that individual. Many times we say, if I get out of prison, then I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And you look back up, and the next thing you know, you got the same selling, and the recidivism continues to rise. And I just wanted to not be a part of that statistic. And so I set out on certain missions, and it was not always easy. I'm not here to say that I got it right all the time. I surely I didn't. And, and I had a lot of support from a lot of individuals who believed in me and wanted to see me do the right thing. And so, I wrote, Maria encouraged me. I'm currently writing some other books, which were on other subjects. And Maria said, no, you need to dig in and you need to write, about how people view gangs, because gang is not necessarily being saying that, you're a blood or a crip or you came from a bad neighborhood. The idea of the whole premise of the term gang is two or more people in a collective common goal to reach one mission. And so we kind of put that negative connotation on that idea. So our police force is a gang, and our fire department is a gang, and we're our justice system, politicians, and Republicans versus Democrats. These are all people working in what they believe a positive form to move the country in a more forward motion. And so it's not a bad thing that you could get with someone to collectively try to improve our society. And I think that's what we are here at Changing Lives Forever are trying to do. And so because I came from that, I eventually did write the 2 books. I have a curriculum, a book curriculum soon about to come out, and some other projects that I've been working on. And so then I set out, together with Maria. We started the online magazine Voices Often Ignored, and that kind of spun, and it started gaining traction and attention. And so we said it's that time where we start this company, Changing Lives Forever. We went on and to now have our own online store, which is the Changing Lives Forever R&M Apparel, where that clothing and other accessories are dedicated to a positive image. For example, people like yourself who are doing things or who have positive sayings, or people who have done things that put themselves or the world in a better light. We want to feature that stuff on clothing and accessories and things of that nature. And so that's just my story. it all goes back to me being able to say that, and it's unfortunate and it's sad that, I was sitting in a prison cell and many people ask, why are you changing? And sometimes I just don't want to get any longer caught up into the idea that he's a former long-term offender. There are many successful former long-term offenders. And that goes back to Maria saying that, you are trying to define my identity by attaching the fact that I'm a former prisoner, because you want society to know that I was once a prisoner. Like, you want society to know that Maria was once a foster child, because it separates you from the reality of those human beings who you don't want to be associated with. So I think that that's what we're trying to tear down, and we're trying to change the narrative that if I've served my time, I've done everything that you've asked me to do in moving in a positive way and becoming a true citizen, then I should be acknowledged and recognized as a true citizen, and not someone who was a former this or a former that, or whatever that might be, because that's where we lose our society when we are trying to place bias. We get out and we say, I believe in second chance, or I believe in let's reform the foster care system, and then you get behind closed doors and now it's a whole nother subject. And so that's just what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what Maria's trying to do, and that's what we want to do here at Changing Lives Forever.
So I want to make a couple points. As we know, many people who come out of prison end up on the street because they have no place to go. I don't know how it is across the country, but I know here in Maine, you get your $50 gate fee, and if you don't have some place to go, you end up in Bangor, and we have 2 shelters here. If you're lucky, you get a bed. If not, you end up in Tent City on the street. The other thing is a large amount of foster children end up in the correctional system. And both situations a lot of times have to do with childhood trauma. So, there's, even though they're different things, they're very similar because they cross paths. The work that you're doing also, I want to talk a little bit about your website before I forget it. Is that new? Because it's beautiful.
Oh, absolutely. So the online store, yes, it was currently, I was working on it for a while, and I've been able to really get it up and running. And so, yes, that is new. And the Substack.com is a few months older, and where I'm talking, that's basically, the story. So and that's really like gaining traction.
Now, Substack, is that your company too?
No, so Substack is a online provider for those people who do news magazines, newsletters, podcast shows, and on a bigger scale than, let's say, we were on LinkedIn, or let's say this was Instagram. Substack is one of the largest providers when it comes to online publications. So you could have anyone there from, someone like Changing Lives Forever to those people saying vote for Joe Biden and have total, a lot of, how a lot of newspapers went to online digital publications. That's where you would find it. You would find it on Substack. So whether it was the Chronicle or it was, the date, your average community newspaper, it's just your Forbes magazine, whatever you're looking for when it comes to online services and publications, you'll find it there on Substack.
Okay, and that's also how you sell your products, is through that.
So we sell our online magazine through Substack, and we sell our online merchandise at clothing and accessories from R&M Apparel on changinglivesforever.com. That's our own website, but was created through Shopify, like they have Pandora and all those things. So it was created through there. I just toggled it into building my own website and my own services our own services to provide that.
And where can people find your books?
The books can be purchased on Amazon.com simply by typing in the title of the book or typing in my name, Rodney Wrice, books with a WRICE, overcoming gangs or anything about gangs, and it's going to pop up, or anything about recovery and pathways or guides, self-help guides. The pathway book will come up.
Okay. So now I have a question. I didn't get a chance to look at it on the website, but there was a link on there that said Success After Incarceration. Is that a program or is that like resources?
So the Success After Incarceration link takes those people who were like me at one point, not very technologically savvy. It'll take you directly to the Amazon account from which you can purchase those books. So they can use that link, and it'll take them, rather than having to sift through Amazon, it'll take you straight to those books, because there's millions of books on Amazon, but it'll get you right to those two books themselves.
Okay, because I do a posting every year of all the people that I interview and all of their books and materials.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do it like in the beginning of November, so people are looking for Christmas gifts. And I love the idea that you have books, because when I started doing this work, it was 1997. And believe me, there was not anything written out there that I could find, unless it was like somebody who was really famous that ever was in prison. You could not find material. It wasn't so much that I was looking for the materials that were written in prison. It was, how do you succeed and recover from that? And there was nothing from those with lived experience. And now we're seeing that come out. And I keep writing because people need to be educated of what's going on in the world. And like with the homelessness, I hope you're writing books about that, because I had 2 children that worked with homeless, and I have a friend who does that now. And it is such an important area of work. And you want to talk about a forgotten population. People don't even want to look at you when you're living on the street. And they don't need that. They need kindness. And I see this changing lives forever. I want to add with kindness, because that's the first thing I see with both of you is your heart. And that's beautiful that you're doing the work from that space. So I want to applaud you for the work that you're both doing.
Thank you.
And I think one of the things is that, and that's why Maria has incorporated, and it's that, she says every time we're out, we love you and we have to be kind. She says, Rodney, we have to be kind because as a society, we have begun to desensitize and feel as if it's normal to walk by, see someone homeless, and act as if that's not my problem. That's not my family member. But it could very well be your family member. It could very well be your friend. And I think Maria is very good at making a point and saying that, no, I'm just not here to give you food or to empower you or to tell or to give you a place for you to go. I'm here simply to let you know that you are cared about and loved. You are cared about and loved in ways that are unimaginable. You only need to understand that there are people like us who really do care about that really do want you to reestablish that kindness and compassion and love from which our nation continuously says that that we stand for, those principles and ideas. And that's key in getting someone from a place of homelessness, which may spawn them into incarceration, which I'm dedicated in reducing and in any way possible, because that will follow them into a trauma from childhood all the way into adulthood that becomes very difficult to get back from. And so Maria's just, even sometimes I have to she has to remind me, no, Rodney, you have to understand that it's not going to be an easy fix. But that does not mean that those people are still should not receive the type of love and compassion that they deserve as human beings. And so I think that Maria has a better way of explaining that than I do, because again, I just want people to understand that nothing that they can say from an educated standpoint, from a degree position, from a college educated background or financial success will ever outlive or ever outweigh one's lived experience. One cannot tell me from any level what it's like to serve 33 years of your life behind in a prison cell in isolation. And most of my time I did like in places like Pelican Bay and Corcoran in the SHU programs. These are the most dangerous places in California prison system, isolated in facing that mental trauma. And so you cannot then begin to tell me how that feels if you have not lived that. And I believe to be the best advisor to that type of condition, as Maria would be the best advisor as to what it would be like to be a foster child if she was a foster child.
So can I piggyback on that?
Yes.
Thank you. I love your glasses, by the way. Yeah, so it really is interesting. We both have backgrounds where I grew up without family. Like I grew up with my half sister, right? But once I was emancipated after I graduated from school, I was taught from the age of 9 that I had to, all of the earnings I've ever made, that had to go in my savings so I can prepare to leave. And only to end up homeless at least 4 times, 2 times with my children, and then 2 times on my own. The reason why I bring that up also about talking about showing love and compassion is because when you go through something in life, it affects you, and you either have animosity, anger, or you have real compassion, love, and understanding for those people. And people don't have to go through something horrific in order to have that compassion and empathy. I understand that. But what I say is that when we started the work of going out, I hand wrote and even had Rodney write it while I was having the food prepared, is to make little notes in there. So when they open it up, it says, "We love you," with a heart and a smiley face. And so, of course, that's not something he's going to be saying, but he actually did say it. He actually did say it recently while we were passing out gloves and socks in the car. We were just driving all over at midnight. It was a very cold night. And I heard him say it. But regardless of whatever background somebody has experienced, they're there and they're human. And I believe, because I grew up never being told I was loved. I recently told my daughter that I don't recall anybody ever saying that they loved me. She was astonished by that. So now she tries to remind me, "Mom, I love you," even though she loves me, but she was really taken back that that's not what I grew up with. Words are very powerful, as you know. And so I love you. We care about you. It's interesting enough, also the observation that I had is they don't want food. They think you're going to give them some kind of nasty food, because a lot of these places that give this food is not very good food. And it's basically, they'll turn around and say, no, I don't want it. Well, I cooked it. It's a homemade meal. Oh, okay. Then they take it. That's what any of us would do. I feel like, we want to be able to eat something good. You know what I'm saying? But when I'm sorry, we're coming off of colds again, but we want to be able, it makes a difference when somebody cooks something and gives it to you. So once again, changing lives forever. Not everybody can do this work. We understand that. They don't have the courage. They don't have the time. But they may have the resources. They may have the finances. And that's where we come in. We can do more by getting the support of people that donate to our cause, and being able to see that we can reach the masses. And there's a bigger picture than this. It's not only about to give them food, but it's about giving them clothing. It's about giving them, empowering them, providing coffee and food, getting a van and going to locations where nobody really goes, and being able to give them an encouraging word to uplift them and also meet their immediate need of food and clothing.
You're treating them with dignity.
Yes.
And they don't get much of that, I'm sure. Yeah.
Which they deserve.
Now, I wanted to ask if people was interested in making a donation. How do they go about doing that?
Well, first, they can contact me at 415-583-1463. 415-583-1463. Maria Morales with Changing Lives Forever, the managing director. Once they make a donation, then we will go ahead and send them a receipt. That money, they will be able to see where we applied that once we put it into use. I'd also like to say they can go to our Amazon page, and they can also be able to donate by purchasing those items as well.
Is that on our Amazon page, other than the successful link that I had sent to you, you can also go into the Amazon account, and we have what we call the Changing Lives gift list. So that's like you could purchase socks in bulk, or emergency kits, clothing, shoes, basic food items, and then that stuff is sent directly through to us to provide to those people who are unhoused in the community. So that's what, there's two links, and I think that's what she's referring to when you just simply want to make a donation anonymously, and just try to make your contribution. But again, we encourage all people from whatever level, from the highest to the lowest, to reach out to Managing Director Maria Morales at 415-583-1463, so that she can give you more information on the best way for you to be able to contribute or donate in that form to helping Changing Lives Forever.
One other thing, if somebody is getting ready to come home and they want to reach out to you, is there someplace they can physically write a letter to you?
Okay, before they get released, Valerie? Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to give them. Mm-hmm. Yes, they can send a letter to 1188 Changing Lives Forever, 1188 Mission Street, Unit 520 in San Francisco, California, 94103. Again, 1188 Mission Street, M as in Mary, ISSION Street, Unit number 520, San Francisco, California, 94103.
I always ask everybody kind of the same question towards the end of the podcast, and that is there any book that changed your life?
That's a great question. Well, honestly, my book has changed my life. And I say that because it's very true. It took a very long time, many years. I'm 57 years old, and it's been a book inside of me since I was a teenager. And because of the encouragement from my friends and family, I'm finishing that book. It's very difficult. But through that book, I was able to forgive my mother, my biological mother. And my book is a little bit different in the sense of I'm going back down memory lane in areas that I didn't want to go to. And I write poetry as well. So I came up with a poem for my mother, forgiving her and telling her that I love her. So my book is the one that has inspired me the most.
I love that. And sometimes people are afraid to toot their own horn, and I don't mean to put it that way because telling our stories is so healing, and we learn so much going along that pathway. And I noticed he just stepped off. So, it's really good that you can recognize the importance of your own story in the process of doing the writing on that because it is such a huge it's it's almost like stripping yourself bare in front of people
It's accurate.
because it's digging down in there where you don't want to go a lot of times.
Yes.
So I can't wait to read it. I really
Thank
can't.
you.
So,
So
and how
for,
about you, Rodney? Did you have one?
yeah, so for me, and I stepped away because I wanted you to be able to actually see it. So the book that changed my life is by Elizabeth Hinton. It's called From the War on Poverty to the War on Crime. Uh, the making of mass incarceration. So this book for me really propelled that change in my life where I began to see uh, and I began to see uh, why the origin from which we have the systems that we have are set in place, whether that's community advocacy groups, whether that's our police force or whether that's anything dealing with how we reach the places from which we reach today. And so Elizabeth Hinton is one of the most profound professors at the University of Stanford. And so she's very influential. She was allowed to be able to get inside of some of the documents of America that were not often released to the general public and to other outlets, and able to shepherdize and really trace down the root cause of how and why we've reached the places from which we've reached when it came to mass incarceration, when it came to the incarceration period, and when it came just to us being able to move the country in the direction from which it has gone, and how some of these things have failed us, and how some of these things can make us better human beings. So that for me was the best book. And I've read many books, you got to keep in mind I spent a lot of time in prison. So I became an avid reader and junkie of information. And so, but that book right there really, like, if anybody who wants to understand the criminal justice system from all levels, whether it's the Supreme Court all the way down to just your law library in a prison, that is a book that you must and should read so that you understand all of the dynamics and parts and components to dealing with being able to overcome incarceration.
Looks like one that I'm going to have to add to my library. I want to know if there's anything that we forgot or any last words you guys would like to add in before we wrap things up.
Well, thank you. First, I really want to say thank you to you. And I say that genuinely because when you take the time to hear our stories to make a difference, you're making a difference for those. We're all in agreement that we all have the same mission, and that's to make a difference in the lives of people that are not able to always speak for themselves. I would like to say it, and I would like to encourage anybody that is listening that wants to make a difference, that doesn't have the time to be able to go into the community and make that difference. This is my full-time job. And we need the support. We need the support of people to help us make the difference. Our overall goal is simply to have a building. We have that petition out to have a building and to be able to have a warehouse in it so we can get donations of clothing, etc. And once somebody gets released or there's a foster child that needs something or there's a homeless person, they will be able to come to us and we will give them a bag. And that bag, a suitcase, if you will, is really what I want to say. Something nice, a nice suitcase, a nice bag for them to have filled with immediate needs, and with some food items as well. So we can only be able to do that by people's support, even with word of mouth. We're just super excited about having this opportunity to even be able to put it out there. Again, if anybody wants to support us, providing a donation, you can mail us things. You can call for questions. Again, my name is Maria Morales. I'm the managing director of Changing Lives Forever. My phone number is 415-583-1463. I do receive texts. And you can call anytime. Thank you.
And I think finally, in closing, I want to say thank you to you, Valerie, for allowing us the opportunity to share this information and to share a little bit about us. I also want to say that Maria said that this is her full-time job. Let me say, this is all of our full-time job.
You have been listening to the Prison Pod, a podcast not just for those in prison but for anyone who has been affected by incarceration. Ms. Valerie would love for you to write to her with your questions, comments, and show ideas. The address is Prison Pod, Post Office Box 294, Orono, Maine. 04473.